The Bayon was the state sanctuary of ruler Jayavarman VII, worked toward the finish of the 1200 years. It is a mountain sanctuary worked to address Mount Meru, the focal point of the universe in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. The Lord had the sanctuary built in the focal point of Angkor Thom, the 9 square kilometers huge capital city of the Khmer domain. 4 streets from the 4 entry gopuras of Angkor Thom lead straightforwardly to the sanctuary. Not at all like most Khmer sanctuaries, the Bayon isn't encircled by a canal and walls with gopura entryways. Archeologists accept that rather the channel and walls of Angkor Thom filled in as the sanctuary's line of guard. Buddhist sanctuary with isolated holy places for Vishnu and Shiva. The Bayon was worked as a Buddhist sanctuary. A sculpture of the primary icon, a situated Buddha picture shielded under the hoods of the snake Mukalinda, was found in a pit under the fundamental sanctum, transformed into a Hindu sanctuary. Years and years after the demise of ruler Jayavarman VII, the sanctuary was transformed into a Hindu sanctuary. When Lord Jayavarman VIII returned the authority Khmer religion to Hinduism, pictures of the Buddha were obliterated or transformed into Hindu pictures. Hallowed place for Vishnu and Shiva. Albeit the Bayon was a Buddhist sanctuary, different divine beings were likewise venerated. Separate hallowed places were committed to Vishnu and Shiva, while incalculable, different gods were loved. Convoluted plan. The Bayon is most popular for the baffling countenances on its many pinnacles. Because of its numerous modifications over the long haul, the construction is of an extremely convoluted plan and has a jumbled vibe, with the many pinnacles and different designs squeezing the landmark. The Bayon has 3 walled-in areas. The galleried 3rd and 2nd walled-in area, and the internal nook, which contains the 3rd floor stage with the focal safe haven. 2 concentric exhibitions are etched with bas-reliefs. The inward displays contain essentially strict and legendary scenes, while the external exhibitions fundamentally show authentic occasions, fights and scenes from day-to-day existence. Abandonment and rediscovery. Sooner or later, the sanctuary was abandoned and became congested by thick wilderness. It was finished in the 1910 East to get free from the landmarks. The face towers and the focal asylum were re-established by the FEO in the 1940 East utilizing the anastylosis strategy. Since the finish of the 20th hundred years, the Japanese government group for shielding Angkor Thom keeps up with the landmark. The Bayon's face towers. The Bayon is most popular for its enormous number of tranquil appearances etched on its pinnacles. Initially, there were 49 pinnacles, enhanced with enormous cut faces, investigating every one of the 4 cardinal bearings. Near 200 appearances, the biggest ones being practically 2 meters high, enriched the 37 leftover pinnacles of the 1st and 2nd nook. While most pinnacles contain 4 faces, some just have 3, and 1 pinnacle just bears a solitary face, presumably because of an absence of room. Portrayals of Lokeshvara. At first, the appearances were accepted to address Brahma, the Hindu lord of creation, portrayed with 4 heads. At the point when it was subsequently settled that the Bayon was not a Hindu sanctuary, but rather a Buddhist one, archaeologists trusted the faces to be of Lokeshvara, the bodhisattva of sympathy. The likeness of sculptures of Jayavarman VII and the face towers had persuaded some to think that it is the Lord himself whose face is portrayed on the pinnacles. Come closer from the east. Moving toward the Bayon from the east is an enormous patio with gatekeeper lions and Naga balustrades. Toward the left and right of the porch used to be enormous pools, the remaining parts of which can in any case be seen. A cruciform gopura gives access to the 3rd nook. The 3rd fenced-in area. The 3rd fenced-in area estimates 160 meters in length by 140 meters wide. It comprises of exhibitions with 4 structures at the corners and 4 gopura entryways at the focal point of each side. The mainstays of the displays are enriched with an extraordinary number of moving apsaras, etched bas-reliefs, The third walled-in area, external exhibitions contain broad etched bas-reliefs, principally portraying scenes of verifiable occasions, fights, and scenes from day-to-day existence in Angkor. They give a decent wellspring of data about verifiable occasions and the manner in which Angkor individuals inhabited the late 12th to mid-1300 years. Inside the third nook, on one or the other side of the eastern entry gopura, is a library building. The subsequent nook. The subsequent fenced-in area estimates 80 meters in length by 17 meters wide. It comprises of corner displays and internal exhibitions based on various levels. Its corner pinnacles and halfway pinnacles are enriched with enormous countenances of Lokeshvara. The bas-reliefs etched on the displays contain, for the most part, Hindu strict and fanciful scenes. The roundabout, limited, and rather dim inward exhibitions were reasonable fabricated first. The internal exhibitions contained an enormous number of sculptings of the Buddha. A couple have made do. The vast majority of them were annihilated, or transformed into Shavite pictures during the Hindu response of Jayavarman VIII in the 1300 years. Worked around the inward exhibitions, the rectangular corner displays are at a lower level than the internal exhibitions. They were most likely added later. The principal fenced-in area. The primary nook comprises of the third floor stage holding the focal safe haven. Like the second walled-in area, the pictures of the Buddha have been obliterated or transformed into Shavite pictures. The focal safe haven that has a 5-meter breadth is gotten to on the east through various chambers and vestibules. On either side is a design that could have been libraries. Around the roundabout focal asylum are 8 safe haven towers bearing etched faces, shaping the roundabout first nook. Around it are 4 satellite safe havens. The western safe haven is devoted to Vishnu, the northern one to Shiva. Close to every one of them, on the second floor is a construction that could have been a library. The southern asylum is devoted to the Buddha. During removal works of the focal safe haven, an enormous broken Buddha picture was found in a pit under the asylum. The 3.6-meter high picture in the contemplation mudra is situated on the wound body of the snake Mukalinda, shielded by its hood. The picture has been re-established and is presently cherished in a structure at a Buddhist porch named Vihir Prampal Loving en route from the regal castle east to the triumph door. External Bas Help exhibitions. The external Bas Help exhibitions found on the third nook generally portray verifiable occasions. Fights and occasions that occurred during the rule of Lord Jayavarman VII. Archaeologists got an abundance of data about Angkor history from the scenes displayed here. In a few segments of the external displays, carvings have been left incomplete. Among the numerous reliefs there, the shop place of a Chinese dealer, the vendor is found in a conference with other Chinese individuals. A Khmer armed force parade en route to the front line to battle the Cham armed force. A few scenes, the ruler riding a pony, commanders on elephants, the Ark of the Sacrosanct Fire, princesses in carts, performers, warriors by walking or horseback, troopers lying dead on the ground. Battling scenes, Cham troopers and Cham commanders on elephants withdrawing. War scenes showing different weapons utilized at that point. Elephants outfitted with huge crossbows worked by 2 men, a launch on wheels. Castle scenes, the lord in his royal residence with the sovereign, princesses, workers, men playing a round of chess. Scenes of day-to-day existence, shops, markets with food slows down, anglers with nets, trackers pointing their bolts at creatures, ladies preparing food. A maritime fight on the extraordinary Lake Tonal Sap, where the Chams are crushed by the Khmer, war vessels. The men, furnished with bows and safeguards, Cham officers are tossed over the edge and eaten by crocodiles. Inward Bas Help displays. The inward Bas Help displays on the subsequent fenced-in area portray primarily strict and fanciful scenes. Among the numerous reliefs there, a castle scene with the lord, the sovereign, princesses, performers, and artists. Clerics in a sanctuary. A regal parade with armed force officers on elephants, infantry troopers, the Lord. On an elephant, performers, princesses conveyed in a cart. A few scenes recounting the narrative of the outsider ruler. The Lord is delegated in his castle. The Lord battling a snake, draws an uncleanliness. The ruler shows his hands with nibbles. The ruler providing requests to workers. The Lord lying debilitated in bed, encompassed by ladies. Ravana shaking Mount Kailash. A regal parade to a sanctuary. More than 10 scenes. A ruler in the castle. The Lord leaving the castle in a chariot. Parade to the sanctuary. An elephant conveying the imperial bow and bolts. The ruler imploring Shiva. Photos of a sanctuary. Contributions to the divine beings. The beating of the expanses of milk. A few scenes. A gathering of Brahmins, the Asuras and Devas pulling and pushing the snake Vasuki. The sea and the stirring pole, a compartment to hold the mixture of everlasting status. Vishnu and Garuda in a fight scene. The Hindu divine beings Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma.